Hi everyone. So today we are kicking off our comprehensive series on marriage-based green cards. If you are married to a US citizen or a permanent resident and your goal is for you two to live in the US together, well, this series is for you. I'll be breaking down what is marriage-based green cards and what the requirements are, the forms you need, how to prepare for the entire journey. So in this series, we are going to be breaking all of that down for you. I am U.S. immigration attorney Lilian Chukwurah, and I help my clients get green cards and citizenships for themselves and their families using the U.S. immigration law system. Before we jump into the qualifications, the big things that we're going to be talking about, breaking things down, let's do a big picture view, right? Who is this series really for? What are you going to get at the end of this, right? You are going to get a better understanding of the green card process for a spouse of a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident. I do want to mention that there is a difference in the processing time. We'll be talking about that in detail, what the processing time is for all of these applications and where and when you can start the process. But I do want to just mention that there is a difference between a U.S. citizen filing for their spouse and a permanent resident filing for their spouse. A U.S. citizen can file for their spouse even if their spouse is in the U.S. as long as their spouse had a legal entry into the U.S., meaning they had either a visa to come to the U.S. or a parole to come into the U.S. A permanent resident can file for their spouse that's in the U.S. only if the spouse is currently in valid status, meaning the spouse has a visa that allows them to remain in the US and they have not violated the terms of that visa when they file the application. So that is the baseline where we're starting. You are the spouse of a US citizen or the spouse of a permanent resident, and we're going to start from that view. As we go along in the series, I am going to make certain comments about whether the person is in the US or outside of the US. We'll be breaking those down so that you know that if your spouse is outside of the US and you're filing for them, whether you're a US citizen or permanent resident, I will be breaking down for you exactly what that process is going to look like for your spouse that's outside of the US versus if your spouse was in the US. I have been practicing immigration law for almost 10 years now, and I am going to break down all the things you need to know about the marriage-based green card process. A marriage-based green card allows the spouse of a U.S. citizen or permanent resident to live and work in the U.S. permanently. It is a way for couples to live in the U.S. together and pursue their dreams of basically building a life together. And this way, the foreign spouse has status in the U.S. They are permanent residents in the U.S. They do not have to leave the U.S. They can stay with their spouse in the U.S. once they have their green card. To qualify for a marriage green card, the first thing you need to do is be legally married to a U.S. citizen or a green card holder. Your marriage must be genuine and not entered into solely for immigration purposes. I'll dive in deeper in these qualifications in our next video. To qualify for a marriage-based green card, you must be married to a U.S. citizen or a green card holder. Your marriage must be legal and recognized in the U.S. In some states, certain types of marriages between people are not recognized. Even if it is legal where you got married, you just have to make sure that it is legal in the U.S. as well. But as far as it is legal in the U.S. and where you got married, your marriage will be recognized. The second requirement is that you show that your marriage is genuine, right? That you entered into this marriage in good faith and you plan to build a life together, that you did not marry this person solely for immigration purposes, meaning your marriage is not fake, okay? So you have to show that your marriage is legal and that your marriage is not fake. I will be diving deeper into these requirements in our next video. The process to get a marriage-based green card has several steps, but it starts with the I-130, proving to the US government that your marriage is real. Whether the foreign national is in the US or outside of the US, the first form that you must file in this process is an I-130. It's a relative petition where you prove to the US government that you are legally married and that your marriage is not fake. Your foreign spouse will go through background checks, maybe an interview, depending on where they are, and basically proven that they qualify for a green card. The process can be overwhelming, but with this series, the goal is to break it down for you step by step so that you are not so overwhelmed that you stop yourself from starting the process, okay? This process can be overwhelming, but just know that you can get help with this. You do not have to go through this on your own. If you would like to get help with this process, go ahead and schedule a strategy session with me by going to my website, lilylegal.com, and clicking on Contact Us. You can select a date and time that works best for you for us to chat and see how I can best support you through this process. Throughout this series, we'll cover everything you need to know about the green card process, and that covers whether your spouse is in the US or is outside of the US. So we are doing a comprehensive guide series on here. We're going to cover everything from eligibility to forms to interview and what you can expect after you get your green card. So make sure that you hit that subscribe button and the notification so that you know when the next part of this series comes up and you can stay with us throughout the series. The reason I want to do this series is because there's someone out there, whether it's you or someone you know, that just does not understand how this whole process works, what they need to do, what they have to look forward to, right, in the process. And I want to make that easy for you. I am in the US because my dad filed a marriage-based green card for my mom. When we were going through our own green card journey, my mom did not have anywhere to go to understand what the process is or where the whole thing is going, what they need to do, none of that. And I want to be that for you. My mom had a marriage-based green card through my dad. So the whole process was very hard is what I want to use. It was hard because she did not know what to expect, what the process was, what we needed to do, none of that. So I want to be that person. I want to create this series for that person out there that was my mom, right? That is my mom now, that is trying to figure out what is this process? What do I need to do next? What comes after the I-130? What comes after this, right? You have all those questions, and I want this series to give you some answers so that you know what to expect in your green card journey. So if you stick with me throughout this series, you will come out at the other end more knowledgeable about the green card process. And as you're going through your journey, you can always refer back to this to understand, if you have a question about what did she say comes after the green card again, you can always come back here and get that information. So this series is really for people starting their journey, planning to start their journey, or already in the middle of it and just a little confused about what to expect. I want to be that space for you that my mom didn't have, and be that place where you can come and ask questions as well. If you have any questions as you're going through this series, put them in the comments. I am here to support you through this journey. You are not alone, okay? You are not alone in your green card journey. We're here to support you every step of the way. See you in the next video for more on this series.